Human trafficking is often a hidden crime, impacting millions of men, women, and children around the world. But it's not just a global issue. It is happening right here in Utah.
As our own Kelly Chapman shows us how we can recognize key indicators of human trafficking to help identify victims and save a life in this Fox 13 360 report.
Human trafficking. You've likely seen images depicting it in movies and TV shows.
There is such a glorification.
Victims tied up, shipped around in a container. But survivors say that is not always how it happens. The reality is human trafficking can happen right under our nose in our own neighborhoods.
I was right there. I was hidden in plain sight.
Coco Birthman is a child trafficking survivor. She says she was trafficked by her own mother growing up in Germany until she escaped at the age of 15.
I went to school, I went to horseback riding, and I took dance lessons, and still I was trafficked. I was never kidnapped or chained up or locked in a basement that we can see.
Unfortunately, her story is not unique. And there are other stories like hers that hit close to home.
I played soccer, I had friends, I did very normal child things, but I also was sold almost every week, sometimes multiple times a week, sometimes a revolving door in Utah, in this neighborhood.
Elizabeth Frazier grew up in Utah.
I was taught that I was special and nobody would understand how special I was.
She says she was a victim of familial trafficking, exploited by her parents from the time she was 4 years old until she was able to escape at the age of 23. Both Elizabeth and Coco shared their stories of survival at the Human Trafficking Policy and Education Summit at the Maloof Foundation in Logan. They were among other survivors, Utah congressional leaders, and human trafficking experts who shared their knowledge on this worldwide issue.
Our challenge is that trafficking is a hidden crime.
John Richmond serves as the United States Ambassador at Large to monitor and combat trafficking. He says the International Labor Organization estimates there are 24.9 million people who are victims of trafficking today.
And that means that we have more victims of trafficking around the world today than existed during all 400 years of the transatlantic slave trade. More really today than ever before in human history.
It's an issue lawmakers and leaders are trying to tackle.
The sheer scope of the problem is one that cries out for action.
This is a national security threat. Trafficking is a major, major problem for our country, but also for our neighbors.
They're calling on all of us to do more.
The fact that we aren't doing more to deal with it when it's happening in our local communities and in our states and here at home, that's something that, frankly, those who haven't paid more attention to it should frankly be ashamed that they're not paying more attention to it.
Ambassador Richmond says we are at a pivot point in history where this is an issue we can do something about.
We can stop trafficking because we can stop the individuals who are committing this crime, who are exploiting the vulnerable. And so there's an urgency about it, but there's also a doability factor that I think can draw people into action.
The problem many people feel is they just don't know where to begin. Experts say recognizing key indicators of human trafficking is one of the first steps in identifying victims and can help save a life.
With children, I think if they are withdrawn, if they're not expressing their emotions or they're angry for some reason and you don't know why, or things like that, just looking at their behaviors as a whole and just saying something seems a little bit off.
Knowing the signs is just part of the solution. The Maloof Foundation and Safe House Project have teamed up to create On Watch. I spoke with Casey Maloof, the board chair of the Maloof Foundation and co-founder of Maloof. She says On Watch is a free online training resource written by trafficking survivors to educate the public.
This training is really designed to help inform people here in the United States about what trafficking might look like in their communities. So really help people look around them and identify people who could be trafficked.
Can we get to the point, Casey, that we can, as communities, stop human trafficking?
I hope so. I believe so. I really feel like if everybody cares and everybody's aware and everybody's looking and watching, I do believe that we can at least decrease the rate at which people are trafficked here.
The Maloofs, survivors, and experts all express the importance of education when it comes to this global issue. They say educating yourself and children will empower you to spot, report, and prevent trafficking.
When you know better, you do better.
If I would have known the science earlier, I would have had a completely different life.
So many survivors feel like they could have done something different, or they should have done something different, or things like that. But knowledge is power.
The survivors say building a safe environment for people to come forward could change their life and the lives of others.
This is not just a third world problem, that it's right next door, and it can be anybody you know, and it's important for everybody to know that you can have a part in helping end it and helping stop it.
There are many resources available for survivors of human trafficking. We have all of them on our website, fox13now.com. There you can also find the link for the free On Watch training. In the studio, Kelly Chapman, Fox 13 News, Utah.